Hey, you guys, it has been quite a while since I've been on here, but I have been busy. Going to talk a little bit about that. And some of what I've been busy with is I have been just absolutely freaking out over everything happening in our world. So many bad things have happened in the last 3 weeks that I'm not down with any of them. And it's just really been a very triggering time. So last night, I was strolling through the internet and came across a bunch of postings about the Naugler family, and I'm gonna have to explain to you who the Naugler family is. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna talk about the triggering news the last 3 weeks and a way forward because I may have to take a pretty big step here. I don't really know for sure, but here it is. And I also want to talk to some people in the community who've been nothing but incredibly hateful to friends of mine and just saying breathe in, breathe out, move on. I mean, you guys have gotten so much so incredibly wrong that I don't even know why anybody pays any mind to any of you. So, who are the Noglers? The Noglers were a family from Kentucky, okay? And I'm looking at my notes here. It's what I'm doing as I'm getting ready to talk about this. The Noglers got into trouble with CPS when they had 10 children because they were living in a plywood three-sided shack in the woods of Kentucky in midwinter when there was a lot of snow on the ground. By the time CPS caught up with them, it was no longer snow on the ground, but the housing situation was a strange thing, and it's not like they couldn't have afforded to do real housing for the family because at one point they had a real shed on there, and they have been in houses, apartments, whatever, but they're pretending to homestead. The reason I call it pretending to homestead is I see people do this all the time in the quiverful full world when they decide that they're just going to do their own thing. They're going to call it homesteading. They're going to enact all these weird things and they're going to wrap it in the Bible. That's what these people did. And they got into major trouble for it. CPS sees their children because of the situation with the three-sided plywood shack, because of the fact that the pond on the property that I believe they were getting their drinking water from, is what I read. The pond was severely polluted with animal feces. There was broken glass all over the place, including in the pond and all over the property. So the property was pretty much just not suitable for a child is what the state of Kentucky decided. Now, Nicole and Joseph Naugler are the parents that I'm talking about here. They did get their children back, but it only happened because I believe homeschool legal defense people got involved and they were making all kinds of allegations against the state. So CPS turned around and gave them their children back. But the family was trying to say that it was because of homeschooling that their children were seized. That was not it at all. The family was living in filthy, unhealthy conditions, squalor. Media reported that the property had broken glass, trash, animal feces, and the lone water source was polluted with feces and other contaminants. They had no running water, no access to clean water for cooking, bathing, or washing clothes. And so the shack they lived in, the plywood, scrap lumber, three-sided shack. Um, that winter, they experienced extremely low temperatures, life-threatening ones, lower than usual for Kentucky. So the mother, Nicole, is the one that keeps this all together. She's claiming they're being persecuted because they were doing the entire off the grid homesteading thing. Um, and that's not it. Plenty of people live off the grid nicely without all of this, and they have nice places with solar panels and various things instead of living like these people were. Like Charlie Manson's compound couldn't have been any worse than this. So they were also doing unschooling instead of homeschooling the children. I'm not as familiar with unschooling, but my understanding with unschooling is that the children will be more curious and pick up the learning that they're going to pick up without the parents or anyone else using a curriculum. There's no curriculum whatsoever. They just it's entirely child-led learning, which I don't know about you guys, but I cannot see that ever working. One of my kids told me that they should have been allowed to be homeschooled online by using videos, and that I should have allowed them to do that for college. And I kind of laughed in the child's face because this is somebody that could not even pass online. He had an online study hall he got a low grade for. So I was like, you couldn't even control yourself enough to go through that. What makes you think you'd have been okay to self learn? So I'm not a big fan of unlearning. Okay. So Nicole runs the family pretty much financially. She does mobile grooming of dogs. Girl's got a hustle on and she's making money, but she makes me mad because she refuses to take any personal responsibility at all for the actions or situations that led to the removal of her 10 children. She blamed the local sheriff. She blamed CPS. She blamed the children's guardian ad litem and a host of officials in her little part of Kentucky. Oh, and she thinks that the people removing the children, the CPS workers, did not have the best interests of their children at heart. But yes, they absolutely did have the best interests of those children. So she's ranted online about this quite a bit and was carrying on about the reasons that people's children can be seized. She said that none of those applied, which is not true because there were unsafe conditions. Number one on that list involved the child is in danger of imminent death or serious physical injury. And that is the most important reason. She was upset that she wasn't allowed to get a friend or relative to take custody of her children, that CPS put them in the foster care system. But when she started trying to take apart the statute on her blog, she mixed up the portion that says may and seemed to think it meant must. They must contact family or friends, which is not at all how it works. And she thinks that she thought she was going to sue the government and get a ton of money for this, and it hasn't happened. What has happened is that her husband Joe and her have gotten a world of trouble. They cannot get any money out of this from any government agency. They kicked up enough of a media fuss to get their children back, but it hasn't really profited them in any way. Um, and now this comes out. This comes out. Okay, let me see if I can get back to the where am I? Okay, here I am. Sorry. I always have to consult notes. My brain is like Swiss cheese these days. And it all has to do especially with the asthma and the mastocytosis. I have good days, I have bad days. I'm not having a great day today. So Recently, and I mean in the last couple of days, the Naugler kids were fighting online. The ones that were the oldest, the ones that were they're adults now, who were children when all of this went down. And some of the allegations that are coming out are pretty bad. There's some that are doing just like the daddy and threatening the neighbors and getting all kinds of legal trouble. There are some that are just so enmeshed in the religious aspect of it that it's ridiculous. And they're all threatening the oldest daughter who's come out and accused her father of some very heinous things. And I hate to use these absolutely horrific, stupid YouTube things, but I'm going to have to break those damn things out. She accused him of SA. She accused him of the over discipline thing that we talk about, using the switch on the children to the point where they were damaged in some way. She's talked about him gaslighting her, doing all sorts of terrible things to her. And her brothers are denying that that was so. She's talked about there was another family member that was involved in that. She hasn't named who it is yet. I suspect it may be one of the brothers who is threatening her with a lawsuit right now. But she's accused her father, Joseph Naugler, of all of this things. Let me read you a little bit of this because this kind of breaks my heart. I'm going to start by saying that it has taken years to finally type out, and I still suffer mentally and physically from the results of my upbringing. Any negative comments aimed at me will be removed and blocked. I'm already mentally fragile and cannot handle much more than telling my part of the story and getting the word out. This is just the tip of the iceberg and a general idea of character. So she starts with her father, says, Joseph is my biological father and was there for my whole childhood. Joseph was a violent person who, growing up, would use extreme physical violence as punishment on me and my siblings. I remember him hitting me repeatedly with fists, belts, boards, sticks, and whatever he could get his hands on. The first time I received glasses at 7 to 8 years of age, I remember being so hopeful he wouldn't hit my face due to them being expensive and my family poor. No such luck. I still recall vividly the first time I got hit after receiving them. They didn't break, meaning glasses, but I wish I had. Maybe he would have stopped for a bit. Okay, I'm going to go on. I don't remember when the essay started, but it continued for more than 8 years. That poor girl. I finally threatened to tell someone at 16. Only then did he stop. I was big enough for the physical, then the physical violence was at a minimum. Joseph is a bully and realized he could not stand his ground with me in his age at that point, and he moved to more psychological tactics, gaslighting me with tears, sorts of threats of unaliving himself, and invading my personal space whenever he could. Joseph was also a violent alcoholic. At 17, I clearly remember when he was blackout drunk and smashed my brand new iPad and personally saved up for it a fit of drunken rage. I lost most of my digital art at that time as well. I was unable to get help and didn't fully realize the extent of what had happened to me until I reached a year or two into adulthood. My upbringing being very out of society and sheltered, my education was neglected. I was raised, as people like to say, quote, unschooled, where it's supposed to be child-led learning at home. But my parents neglected most of the even basic modern day skills, denying me and some of my siblings the chance for proper schooling, even when asked. We stopped attending even church events when I was 9 to 10 years old. My family's lives confined to 28 acres of far out farmland or the grooming salon I was raised in with trips to the park nature trails, etc., a few times a year. Joseph would make sure to lash out and ruin any family trips while lashing out at the family and neglecting the parent. The trips almost always being canceled or ended early due to his anger. I learned early not to expect anything positive from him ever. Okay, and I don't know who the other family member is, but she has talked about this, and her parents have failed her in every major way you could think of. Her father, Joseph Naugler, has a long arrest record because of he threatens the neighbors. Her brother, Quentin, has threatened to sue her. He said he would legally be going after her. I don't think he can unless she says something that is demonstrably false. That's about the only way. Normally wouldn't have a leg to stand on with any of this stuff if you're just trying to stop a family member from talking about the abuse inside the family. I was glad to see that various other family members outside of their little family have come forward to talk about the abuse they witnessed. Oh, so there we go. That's the big scandal in Quiverful. I do want to say if you're experiencing anything like this, just know that help is not far away. The RAIN network, Rape Abuse Incest National Network, can be reached at 800-656-4673 or at their website, rainn.org. Also, if it's mere child abuse, oh my God, I would recommend reaching out to Child Help. I was involved with Child Help myself for some years. Child Help's national child abuse hotline is 800-422-4453, or their website is childhelp.org. Okay, so I have those just two just horrific stories out of the way. And I Ron, hey, you just decided to check. I'm glad you're here. I just decided to go on. I'm supposed to be cleaning and organizing, which I'm about to do. See, I got baskets. This is by PORN organizers. But I had to get on and talk about this little thing first and some other things. We're going through quite a bit in the US, I guess. I'm not even going to say the president's name, but we have a new president, and some of the things that have happened since he has come into office have just been horrific. Trying to organize your house as well, I have to. Every now and then, I have to just take everything apart, and I'm about to take the closet apart. That's what those things are for. I got the big flat one for my shoes and other things. So there you go. So it's been one thing after another the last 3 weeks. When the helicopter crashed into the plane flying over the Potomac, I was pretty horrified. Mostly because I fly into that airport sometimes. I fly into National. And, yeah, Canada's not for sale. Canada's not for sale. Mexico's not for sale. The Panama Canal belongs to Panama. Greenland is not for sale. I can't believe I would have to say all this stuff. DEI levels the playing field for people who are handicapped, who are qualified for the roles that they're in, and they need accommodations just the tiniest bit to be able to enter the workforce. Without DEI, very few employers will hire the disabled. It is really hard to get hired that way. I know something about that. I had employers that were very happy to hire me as and say, "Oh, we'll do accommodations." And then when the rubber hit the road, it was a whole different ballgame. And that's why we need DEI. But The president blamed the plane crash on the disabled, which it was not. Not at all, not at all. And in order to work for to be an air traffic controller or to work for the FAA, you have to be able to meet certain tests. You have to be able to pass some exams. It's not just, okay, we're going to hand you a job. It's not that at all. When I was about, I guess, 1920, there was a huge air traffic controllers strike, and they started taking anybody with a high school diploma who could pass a test. I took the test. I did not do well because I do not have higher maths. I did not take trigonometry. If I'd taken trig, I might have been okay. But higher maths like that were not my thing at all. I was studying art. So there you go. One of my friends did too. And she's one of the smartest ladies I know, and she also could not pass the math portion of the thing. And so much, so awful has been said. One of the things that scares the crap out of me was during the first administration, I was down for additional security clearance every time I flew. Every time. They wipe your hands with the stuff that shows whether or not you have bomb making materials that you've touched. They go through your stuff. It's a humiliating process. And I'm a gray haired granny, as you can well see. I'm not making bombs. I'm not doing anything to harm America. He blames everyone but himself. He lies and he's a bully. That's exactly right. He is. And I keep asking myself, how are we going to get through the next 4 years? Because the first 3 weeks have been terrific. He let Elon Musk and the Musketeers into the federal payment information. They now have access to every social security number and bank account of everyone. And I have just been flipping out. But I'm starting to see that there is some pushback. So we have hope. We have hope. And I think that we're just going to have to hang tight and protest still. We can't wear out. We gotta do that. So one of the things he's proposing that may directly impact me and may shut down my channel is he wants to make people responsible if they speak out against religion, Christian religion. And you know me, I don't go to church much anymore, but I'm still a Christian. I just follow Jesus now. I don't follow people. I have various books that I read. I go to online church because the asthma and everything else, and it's not Christianity I'm after. It's when Christians do these kind of things and they wrap it in the Bible. That's when I freak out. Um, and he's talking about coming after anyone who is critical of American Christianity. Oh crap, is he kidding? He's such a hypocrite. No, he's not kidding. I don't think he'd be able to do it, but he may. That was part of my freak out because I wanted to go see my kids soon. The tickets are real cheap right now between here and DC. They're only like $300 round trip. That's really cheap. Pay as much as nine, depending upon what's going on. Tickets are cheap. I wanted to go see him, but like I said, last time he was in power, I got the extra screening every time I flew. And I was thinking about that and going, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? Particularly when I could just reset my visa by running up to the Nicaraguan border. I think I'm going to go ahead and apply again to be a resident here. Maybe I may even apply to be a citizen at this point. And one of the things that's come out, besides the whole threat about shutting down anyone who's critical of Christians, is that there have been people, a few writers I know, who've tried to come back into the US who were held at the border 7 or 8 hours at an airport and told, you cannot, you clearly you're either trafficking people or bringing drugs in or whatever, and they go through all your stuff, they take your electronics for further study and hold you there, and they will tell you that you're not in the United States because they haven't let you in yet. So your rights as an American citizen do not start. So when I heard that, it was like, I'm just gonna have to delay this trip until things calm down a bit. And between that and finding out that he's talking about causing problems to people who critical of Christian religion, I've started thinking about a way forward through all of this. Can't believe what's happening. I'm so sorry. It is what it is, and that's why I haven't been around. I've just been, like, freaking out. I haven't been answering messages. I haven't been doing anything. I've been posting a whole lot, but I haven't been doing anything else besides that. And I try to make myself get up and do things every day. I've started exercising again, so that helps and I feel better. So there's that. I'm gonna have to figure out ways to offload my stress thinking about all of this. And I know I'm hardly the only one from talking to people online. Everybody is freaking out over this who is not a supporter of his. Anonymous just posted a video, and I sat and listened to the whole thing. They're gonna go after him. They're gonna go after the entire administration, Elon Musk, and I don't know how successful that's gonna be. But it was certainly interesting to think about. I like to see somebody doing something other than us sitting around doom scrolling for hours. Because I know that's not healthy for anybody. That's definitely not healthy for me, and it does stuff in here. So I try not to ever do that, even though I do find myself doing that on a regular basis now. So the way forward, if this comes to fruition, where he actually gets this passed, I am not going to completely delete all of my critical of religious content, but I may unpublish it until he's gone or the law is gone. And at that point, I will switch my all of my content to helping people relocate to Costa Rica, which I've started to write about just a little tiny bit. And I have more people ask me every single day, what do you need to do to move here? I said, come on, just bring a suitcase. I don't recommend shipping anything. Everybody I know who ships stuff has a terrible time. So I always tell people liquidate what you can, what you can't liquidate that you must have, ship it, but know that you may end up losing it. And at that point, that's probably what I will switch everything to that for a while. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are desiring to leave, so many, and it's gonna drive up the property prices here. We're already like in a boom economy here on the Pacific coast of Guanacaste because beautiful beaches. Everybody wants a piece of the action, so people are moving here like crazy. I know people who want to move to Canada. Sorry, Chris. I know how that is. I know how exactly that is because I do that too before my message was done. Exactly, and I know a lot of people who are moving to Canada. I've got a girlfriend who went to the extra step of finding out that her mother was born in Nova Scotia, and she was able to apply to be a citizen that way. She's trying to move there. So many people. Mexico is not a bad place to live as long as you're not living in cartel country. Even then, the cartel is usually only interested in each other and anyone that messes with them. They pretty much will leave the average citizen alone from what I've seen the times I've been there. And it's one of those things that takes a lot of research. I know people who come here without doing research, not a lick of sense, to get here and say, well, now what? What do I do now? Say, well, this is the time you would do hobbies and other pleasant things if you're retired. Um, They don't take a look at how long it takes to become a resident. They don't look at how expensive that can be. I'm not gonna lie, Costa Rica is an incredibly expensive place to live. It's almost as expensive as the States. Where I live, the property is damn close to as expensive as it is in Northern Virginia, Maryland, DC area. Gas costs almost double. Electricity is the same price it is in the States. On the good side, eggs are only $2 for 18 of them. If and you can't and you can find them everywhere. You can find them at the any grocery store, obviously, but you can find them at any vegetable stand. Even some of the licorerias carry things like eggs and bread. But it's a lot cheaper. Food here is a lot cheaper as long as you're not buying processed. So that's something. My husband was blown away the other day. He didn't realize that fruits and vegetables were as cheap as they are. I bought a lot of fruits and vegetables. He had no idea. So I've got to talk about all of that. And I think the next piece I'm going to have to write on moving here is dealing with the medical system because that's something that trips people up. And I am about to fool with that because the reason I wanted to go back to the States is I wanted to see my kids, obviously, but my CPAP machine, my VPAP started with a weird message on it the other day that said something like reaching the end of motor life. And I was like, what? I've had it 8 years. It's been great. What is this? So I finally looked it up, and it's the point where they can no longer guarantee that your CPAP machine will work. It will start to fall apart. So I have to do something pretty quickly on this, like within the next couple of months. And that's why I was looking about going back to the States was to get a new CPAP machine. But I discovered something, and I got to put this when I write about this for Costa Rica. I write about the healthcare. I can get a machine here. I can be retested for my levels here. I can get a machine. I'm going to set that up on Monday. I'm going to call the clinic and set it up. Have to go to almost all the way to San Jose to make that happen. But a 5-hour ride in the car is preferable any day to a long plane ride. And then as long as I'd have to stay in the States and wait to get in to one of the sleep apnea clinics. And the last time I had the test run, they had the wrong setting. And I had 2 strokes as a result because I had the wrong setting on my machine all that time. What I ended up doing was going on YouTube, looking up how to reset my machine, and I set it to my last pressure setting before I'd gone in and had this new sleep test run. And I kept telling the place that did the sleep test that they had the wrong pressure for me. In the past, I've had, several nights. I've had the first one, and then if the reading is much lower than my normal reading, I said, "Look, we're gonna retest you and make sure." The place I went to, which was a research hospital in the States, I refused to do that. They refused to retest me. So I had to take this into my own hands and reset my machine. And Costa Rica, the healthcare here is so much better on so many levels, especially on the private side. If you're a private person here and you're not a resident, you're not part of the CAHA, which is their socialized medicine, and the socialized medicine here is good, but it's very bare bones. You're not going to get the best care as far as any luxury. You might be in a ward with 10 other people if you have to go to the hospital, just things like that. And I'm not sure they even have access to a sleep study clinic like this. But on the private side, either your health insurance from the state sometimes works, various hospitals, or you pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed by your insurance company. One of the things that's interesting to me here is when I go up to the doctor here, my doctor appointments, my copay, not my copay, my entire appointment cost is about the same as a regular copay payment will be in the States. Plus, I'm taking that amount and I am submitting it to the insurance company. So my out of pocket, instead of being like $40, is gonna fall to maybe 4 or $5. So that's quite a difference. It's like that. So now that's not to say there aren't some things that have the same price tag as the states, because there are. Sometimes they're more expensive. There's only one pharmacy in San Jose you can get your EpiPen at. They only have one, and it's like $600 each, and they don't take any insurance. Okay, doesn't cost us anything to go to the doctor in Canada. You're lucky. You're very lucky. In the States, it costs, even with insurance. Even with, I have gold standard insurance. I have some of the best insurance in the country. And I use it here all the time, but doesn't cover everything, unfortunately. Even here, even there. My husband had to see a doctor that was the world expert on hyperparathyroidism, and he wanted $5,000 up front, and not to do any to look at your records. That's it. To decide whether or not you were gonna be a good patient. He did that. He wanted that. There are doctors like that here. Most of the plastic surgeons here are like that. They demand a lot right up front. When my husband had his cancer surgery, we paid his doctor a large sum up front to operate on him because he's the expert here. So occasionally you will run into some gringo pricing, but most of the time you won't. I don't know with the CPAP machine if I'm going to run into gringo pricing here or not, but I'm going to find out. It is worth a shot, because if I had to keep flying back and forth, with the average ticket price being like $500 or $600, it could add up in a hurry if I had to keep flying back and forth to the States to do this. So I'm hoping I can have it done with my insurance here in Costa Rica. It would be a huge improvement for me. It's time. So there you go. That's what's been going on with me. Thank you. Thank you. So I've just been busy. We had guests. We had two different sets of guests, and they overlapped. That was really interesting. My dryer died, so after they left, I had to wash it 10,000 towels and hang them up on my new clothesline I put up, and I had all these sets of sheets. I had so much stuff to wash, and so I'm finally done. That took me forever too, so and we went off for a couple days to Arenal up in the mountains, and I sat in the volcano hot springs. It's soaked for a full day. This really nice place. Jim and I stayed in the no children section right by the bar. Not because we drink, because I don't, but because no one was running around screaming, no nothing. It was the most heavenly, peaceful place. I stayed up to my chin in 100-degree water for as long as I could, would get out for a while and go right back in. Did a lot of that, fed the Quadamundes that ran up to us. Did a lot of crazy things like that, and I really needed that. I needed to go see Arnal. I witnessed rainbows up on top of the mountains there. That was a beautiful sight, and, it was just a heavenly time we had spent up there. You saw the photos. Oh, good. Yeah, we do that. I didn't post any of the photos of the place we go to, the hot springs. But anybody that's ever gonna come to Costa Rica and go to Arnal, ask me the name of that place, and I'll tell you, because it is the best. They have, like, 19 pools of the heated volcano water. They've got, one cold pool. They have restaurant and bar right there while you're soaking, and, it's only $10 a day. $10 a day. Places like Baldy and, Pebicon will charge you a minimum of 100 to come in one day and soak, and that's to me, that's just ridiculous. We used to always go to the freebie ones that the locals were using, park by Tabacon and walk down, down, down into the stream flowing right off the volcano. I don't do that anymore because that has muddy steps and you're sliding over rocks and all sorts of thing. And with the balance I have, I can't do that. So I haven't posted because of having tons of visitors, and I also have sciatica. Sciatica so bad that I was having to use my walker to get around, and I don't care for that at all. I would much rather be able to walk. So I'm walking again. My sciatica is better. I swear, from the time I hit 60 on, it seems like I'm falling apart now. Falling apart. But I'll be kicking for at least a few more days, I think. Okay, you guys, I think I've run out of rambly stuff to say, and I guess I should get started on organizing everything because gotta justify buying baskets. I hear the aging crap. Oh, it sucks. It sucks so bad. Oh my goodness. Because I still feel the same inside as I've always felt. And now I can't do the stuff I used to. I can't surf. I can't climb the volcano, and I climbed the volcano here. I can't do any of that. It's all sitting around twiddling my thumbs when my family gets to do that. My son, when he was here in December, and my husband went and climbed Recon de la Vella, which is a volcano here I haven't climbed. Got to see the mud pots. The mud is boiling. They got to see the waterfalls, the things I wanted to see. And me, I sat down here. So the next time he does that, I think I'm going to have to say, let's stay at the Blue River Lodge right there so I can soak in the volcano waters while you guys go climb. Me too. My brain forgets, my body doesn't work the same. And that trips me up. I don't know about you, but that trips me up. Sometimes I will jump up and start doing something. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna try to keep working out because I feel so much better when I do it. Even though today I overdid it and I could feel it real bad. That's what I'm saying out right now. Instead of going through my closet. I really need to throw so many things away in my closet. I have so many clothes that I don't wear anymore because they're uncomfortable or one thing or another, and I'm just gonna toss it all at this point. If I don't uh wear it, if I haven't worn it in 6 months to a year, it's gone unless it's something special like the dress I wore to my daughter's wedding or my black lace funeral dress I always wear. You started chair yoga. How's that going? I haven't done that yet. I've done some chair aerobics. I have some people on YouTube I follow that do that. But mostly what I do is I will go walk in the pool for an hour. And I'll do deep knee bends and lunges and things like that. Okay, that would be good. So I do a lot of deep knee bends, lunges, and walking around the pool real fast, speed walking around the pool because I can do that. The water boils up enough to be able to walk well, unlike on dry land. So I've decided I'm a mermaid. I can handle water just fine. I can't handle all this dry land and this gravity. I don't care about gravity much. So I'm going to do that. And this mermaid needs to sign off and go do something. Okay, you guys, it's been 43 minutes. I haven't been on here in a long time. I wanted to touch base on with you about a lot of stuff, and my nose is itching so bad I can't take it. So I'm gonna have to blow my nose here. I get my tissues. Where are my tissues? I got my slippers, my books, my sleeping mask, everything but a tissue. Okay. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend.